Hey chess people, what's going on? I have a breakdown of our weekly Swiss event. Now this game is between William Athens with the white pieces and Falcon 8000 with the black pieces. Let's get right into it. Knight f3, the Reti opening. d5, we can transpose into all manner of things. Here, let's see what white chooses. c3, okay, possibly preparing d4. Knight c6. What do you know? d4. Black continues with knight f6. Now there is a recent game in this position between Levon Aronian and Magnus Carlsen from the FTX Crypto Cup this last year, 2022, ended in a draw. That game continued, g3, bishop g2, etc. But this game, we see bishop g5, e6, defending the knight, knight b to d2, solid. Bishop e7, breaking the pin on the queen, queen b3. In a lot of these positions with a knight on c6, queen b3 threatens this pawn long term. But the main question that comes to my mind is this c8 bishop going to see the light of day, and when? So let's see what happens. h6, kicking the bishop, and instead of retreat, white takes, and this is fine for white, giving up the bishop pair. I think they're probably expecting a very closed maneuvering game where these knights will come in handy. But let's see what happens. e4 is a pretty good push here, opening up the center. Very well timed, really, before black can kind of get anything going. And black really doesn't want to allow e5, so he takes. Knight takes e4. Black castles. Bishop b5. Again, a6, trying to kick the bishop. And now black has to accept doubled pawns. They're called doubled pawns because they're pawns that have been doubled. These are going to be long-term weaknesses for black. And this structure in an endgame is going to be difficult compared to white's here. Notice our bishop is still trapped, right? Okay. Knight takes f6. This is kind of an interesting choice in my opinion, because I would consider moves like castles, for instance. But giving up this knight, I mean, it's fine. I really like this knight on e4. It can go a lot of places. It can do a lot of things. But I could see why you would want to eliminate the dark squared bishop. It's just you really have a lot of control over these dark squares right now. So bishop's not doing much. But I could see wanting to get rid of that bishop. But let's say, we saw castles. Black preserves his bishop pair. We could see something like rook f to e1, just slowly improving the position. And now if you look at black's position, he's got to find a way to improve the position. And what comes to mind to improve the position? Well, not much. I mean, you could play your rook over, for instance. And let's just say we bring our other rook over. Now we're just doing good things here, right? We have a solid position, rooks to the center, nice pawn structure. Black's bishop isn't doing much. Black's light squared bishop isn't doing much. Black's dark squared bishop doesn't have very much scope. I would say we're good here. We can kind of build up slowly. That's a possibility after castles instead of taking. But let's say you wanted to attack this pawn. Queen c4. It seems very natural, right? You might consider, okay, I just created this weakness. Let's attack the weakness. Okay. You might consider attacking this weakness right away, but I think black is actually okay. For instance, if black preserves the bishop, the pawn falls, black gets some definite counterplay here. So tell me why, obviously attacking the b2 pawn, tell me why I can't just play b3 or rook to b1. Just look at the position, pause the video, tell me why b3 and rook to b1, why neither of those hold the position together. Take a minute. The reason is this bishop comes in and forks these two pieces, right? Well, skewers these two pieces, no matter what. So we try to defend the pawn by pushing b3. It's the same deal, unfortunately. So white's got to figure something else out. But this is just uncomfortable because now, you know, the bishop's breathing, right? The bishop can breathe and do something and exert pressure, win this piece. Let's see here. Let's go back to the game. Knight takes f6 check. Queen takes. Okay. Knight e5. This makes a lot of sense to me because we're attacking the weak pawn. We're attacking it with the knight. But it's getting a little dangerous to be in the center at this point. If you look at the time situation, it's pretty impressive. They're not using a lot of time here. Neither of them are using very much time at all. So they've really blitzed this out. But we should probably castle this king. But I do understand this move. It also kind of blocks up this pawn structure. So you kind of stop e5 from happening. Keeps the bishop hemmed in. It attacks the weak c pawn. It also kind of encourages, which is a downside, it encourages c5 to strike back at the center. And after a move like c5, say castles, c takes d4, c takes d4, black can somehow have his cake and eat it too and play c5 twice. Trying to undermine this knight, right? And we've got to figure something out here. So just a possibility. And now look at all these open squares. All of a sudden that bishop comes to life. Let's see here. But what happened in the game? Queen g5. So we do not see c5. We see queen g5 attacking the g2 pawn, getting out of the way of the f pawn, possibly to kick the knight. And now we really need to castle, right? Which white does. And take a look at the time. Black is still above 10 minutes. It's pretty incredible. f6, as expected, kicking the knight, and the knight picks up the doubled pawn. And now we see this hyper prophylactic move, GM level awareness by black, which is just super impressive. Can you guess the move? I bet you couldn't guess the move. King h8. Wow. This guy means business, right? So this pawn, you know, clearly there's an x-ray here of the king, and if black wants to do anything meaningful with this pawn, he's going to have to step out of the way. A move like, you know, rook to e8 would have been fine, but super GM move, king h8. Pure terror to see that move from your opponent. This guy means business, right? Children, avert your eyes. Violence is coming. f4. launching at the queen like a catapult, right? This is getting violent. And f4, clearly it stabs at the queen. The queen's got to go away. But here we go. Provocative rook lift incoming. Boom. Rook f3 with all sorts of nasty ideas to get into this game, right? There's just possibilities, right? You could imagine the possibilities. Dastardly plans are afoot here. Finally, our bishop moves. Sees the light of day, right? Attacking this knight. And rather than move or defend, white counterattacks, something more valuable than what black is attacking. So white says, all right, I'm going to attack your queen. Now you have to move again. We move to h5, and this allows yet another attack of the queen. g4. Look at these aggressive pawns. This is violence I've never seen before, right? Just trying to go after this queen. And I get it, but this may be opening up the king just a little too much. And we'll see if that happens. Queen f7, courageously retreating, because he's got to. I mean, he's not going to give his queen up. Knight b4, best move, retreat, right? Okay. Rook a to b8. This is nasty. a5's coming, so let's evacuate that queen out of there. Let's be safe. Here comes a5 anyways, and our knight goes to d3. Really the only move. Okay, now this light square bishop finally is fulfilling its prime directive as a bishop, like its father before him and his father's father, and he's on a long diagonal and he's doing something. This is a bishop with incredible scope all of a sudden. It went from being trapped on c8 to having incredible scope on this long diagonal, attacking this rook. So the rook must be moved. Let's move to e3. And here come the marching pawns, one by one, right? e5 takes, and the best move, threatening all sorts of nastiness, right? We talked about this lovely diagonal. Well, now there's a queen bishop battery on this long diagonal. There is no coverage of this h1 square. What can we do here, right? Think of some defensive resources. What would you play as white here? How do we not get, checkmated or destroyed here? Keep in mind, white is up material with a manageable position, but this is uncomfortable, folks. We gotta do something about that, right? What are we gonna do here? Also, the time situation. What are we gonna do? Well, white decides to play rook to e1. Fortunately, this leads to a mate in 2. I think you could probably already see the queen coming in, then going to g2, right? Queen h1 check, king f2. Now I think black was just really excited and kind of saw, okay, look, I can win a queen. This is awesome. But what's better than winning a queen? Checkmate, right? So this is checkmate. However, this is still winning a queen. So he wins the queen. Pretty heartbreaking. And in a couple seconds, this game went from, I'm up 2 points of material to, oh my god, the bishop's coming. Oh my god, that's a queen. Oh my god, how did all these pieces get here? And now, you go from up 2 pawns to down a queen. It's heartbreaking. And at this point, black can just liquidate. And it's kind of what we see here, right? We actually have a mate in 4 right here. But what black does, very natural, makes a lot of sense. The mate in 4, if you're curious. Queen g2. King e1. Queen g1. King d2. Do you see the rest? Now the rook comes in. Rook d6. And after queen c2, we cut off these light squares with queen d1 checkmate. Mate in 4. Fancy, right? But I probably wouldn't have found it either. Instead, we have rook takes f4 check, which leads to still a very nice ending here. Checkmate. So, very good game by both of these gentlemen. I've had the distinct honor and pleasure of winning and losing against them in person over the board. They're excellent players, both of them, and they played an excellent game today. But Falcon 8000 was actually our weekly champion with 4 points out of 4. Excellent job. He'll be receiving a 1-month diamond membership for chess.com, courtesy of chess.com. Cheers. I hope you enjoy that. I hope you enjoyed this breakdown. I tried to get into a couple of sidelines, a couple of logical ideas with this analysis. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Join us on Tuesdays, 7 p.m. Central Time, for some Swiss chess. Swiss system rapid chess. Kind of an awkward thing to say. Well, if you're still watching, you already know I'm awkward, so don't worry about it. Keep calm, and as always, chess on.